head, and I just want to read from you to you from Calvinist resources, from popular Calvinists or Reformed theology people of the day, and maybe from hundreds of years ago. John Piper, very famous, still alive, still teaching, and I love his demeanor. I just do. And I still go to John Piper for answers because he certainly spent more time in the good book than I have, and he's worth listening to. Anyway, he says, John Piper from Desiring God, his website, total depravity means that there is no human faculty left untouched by sin. We are not individuals in isolation. We are part of a collective whole. End of John Piper. Let's go with, this book is called The 5 Points of Calvinism. This is pages 12-13. Palmer's the writer. Total depravity means that natural man is never able to do any good that is fundamentally pleasing to God, and, in fact, does evil all the time. Now that you heard a couple of the Calvinist sources, I got maybe a few head scratchers this time. First, we know that the Reformed, the Calvinists, love to go to Romans 3 and say, no one is righteous, no, not one, to help defend total depravity, which I just read to you by definition from leading Calvinists and Calvinist sources. So man is totally reprobate, incapable of doing good. Their heart is inclined to sin and only sin and evil all the time. They might take you to Genesis 6 for that one. So my question is, why does Jesus Christ put himself, here's the head scratcher, into the category of not being good? Maybe the Calvinists would say Jesus was just being humble. Maybe the Calvinists would say, no, but Jesus, he had to teach us important truths. Those are good arguments. I can come up with a lot of good arguments for Calvinism, but Jesus can't lie. Jesus is God. Some people don't like the term hypostatic union, but fully man, fully God decides, Philippians 2, to set aside his attributes of divinity for his purpose, for his Father's will, to execute the perfect protocol plan of God, willingly lay down his life for the cross. Nobody is good except God alone. And so the question is, why Matthew 19, 14, and 15? But Jesus said, I got ahead of myself. Now, switching gears, I told you there'd be a couple head scratchers. Romans 3, 10, and 11 says, no one is righteous, no, not one. Have you ever considered in the total depravity that it says no one is righteous? What does that mean? It doesn't say no one is not a sinner there. You could make that argument, but don't get duped. Be a good reader, be a good Berean, Acts 17:10. I think it's Acts 17:10. Sometimes I talk too fast and give you the wrong verse, but I think that's right, and 11. But the point is, no one is righteous, only God. In human, fleshy form, can never attain righteousness in any way, even if we're imputed with righteousness. Think about that. We walk around in a fleshy, sinful, decaying body, which is not righteous and is incapable of righteousness. We are imputed with righteousness. Romans 5:1, Romans 8:1. But no one is righteous. I think it's a head scratcher that the Calvinists need to maybe quit using that verse, because it doesn't say all the things that they says it says. It just says no one is righteous, and of course only God is righteous. Deuteronomy 32:4 is one I have committed to memory. He's righteous, he's perfect. Mark 10:18, and Jesus said to him, why do you call me good? No one is good except God alone. That's from the Berean Standard Bible. Why do you call me good? Good is not the same as righteous, I don't think. But anyway, you can also see Matthew 19:17 Ecclesiastes 7:20, Psalm 119:68. Now, here's another question, which I probably should keep it for later, but we'll make this video 6 minutes long. According to Reformed theology, the Calvinist, everyone's born wicked. Many Calvinists, not all, would say you're not as wicked as you could be. God restrains evil, and that's why you're not as bad, because sometimes you'll do good things, even though no one is good, but no one's righteous, but you do good things, but you can't really do good things. See, confusion, chaos, but that's not even what I want to say. Now, this includes infants, according to the Calvinist. What? Okay, so they're not as wicked as they could be, but they're wicked. And young children, humans are born so spiritually dead, it affects everything about them, their mind, heart, soul. They are corpses that cannot respond to truth, or they're corpses that can't believe truth. They'll take you to 1 Corinthians. When I say they, Calvinists, Reformed, they love 1 Corinthians 2:14. I don't think they read verses 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 11 before they get to 14. I also don't think that they keep reading into chapter 3 to see who Paul's actually talking to, Christians. But anyway, that's still not the point. And now I'm past 6 minutes. So here is my question. Why would Jesus be talking? Why would he pick up little children and say to them, hey, none of you should let the little children, nobody should stop the little children from coming to me. Do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. Heaven belongs to reprobates? To totally wicked people who aren't quite as wicked as they could be? Could it be that Jesus is actually trying to make a different point? Could it be that the Bible teaches something different? Again, I don't think Jesus could actually pick up a child or tell the crowd and tell his disciples, you got to let the children come to me. They're innocent. They don't know much. They're shapeable. They're moldable. They still have some, they got to trust the adults because they don't know everything. And if they're totally reprobate, if that's really the teaching that God wants us to know from the Bible, again, I think Jesus is misspeaking. He's giving us a false sense of understanding, false information, because it totally flies in the face of total depravity, wickedness, reprobate, inability, every evil desire, thought, wickedness from birth is in us, and we're just lambasted with it. Anyway, 8 minutes is way too long. Sorry. Any Calvinist can respond, though, with a logical answer to that one. I would love to hear it because I can't think of one. And usually I can come up with good responses a Calvinist might give based on their understanding of the Bible.